What's up, guys? Welcome to the Walk On Warrior podcast, where we prepare young student athletes for next level success. I'm your host, Coach Z, and listen, super excited for our guest for today. He is the ultimate Walk On Warrior. He was an all-conference standout in high school. He was a JUCO All-American and got to the highest level at the university level at Southwest Minnesota State. And he is living out his dreams as a professional football player in Europe. And do me a favor, pronounce it again.
It's the Jaguari, Torino Jaguari in Italy. Yeah, it's a big city out here. So,
listen, Adrian Tolbert, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Coach. It's a pleasure to be here, man.
Listen, man, I always like to start these podcasts off with something that's kind of an icebreaker. And I want to ask you, what's the funniest thing that happened right away? Because you've got a complete culture change. Like, did you go to the grocery store and couldn't even speak the language and communicate?
Yeah, so I went to the grocery store actually down the street. It's called Lidl's. It's probably similar to like an Aldi's in the States. And yeah, just wanted to stock up on groceries. So first I walked in and their cart, they don't have any carts. It's just like kind of like a stroller that you're pushing around the store, and I'm just confused on what's going on. So I just go on with my groceries and I get my vegetables and my protein and all. And as I scan out, the cashier is, telling me something in Italian that I don't understand. And I'm, just trying to pull up my phone, trying to, pull out the translator. I got people in line just waiting for me. And it turns out he just took all my vegetables and took them away. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, why are you taking my vegetables? Are they not ripe yet, or are they bad? And I go to practice the next day, and I tell my teammates, and they're like, no, bro, like out here you have to get a barcode for them. You have to, it's just a process basically. So I think that was pretty embarrassing. A welcome to Italy for me.
Well, you think about it, it's like there's only just a teeny amount of, outsiders or people that don't speak, Italian, and it's just like anything, right? The learning curve is always just a different thing. And I mean, let's be honest, there's certain parts, especially in San Diego and California, all these other places, even if you've lived here your whole life, culture shock, culture change, languages, all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of kind of funny. So let's get it started, man. So listen, I want people to get to know your story. I know you've got a real fantastic story. It's a one that has turned a lot of corners, but you have been the ultimate overcomer in every level that you've been, not just in football, but in life. And here on the Walk On Warrior podcast, we want to dig into what it takes to overcome and basically be relatable to young student athletes that watch this, as well as parents, and how to overcome those situations, right? There's a lot of student athletes that are out there that do come from tough situations, but get a scholarship and, whatever. But it's all about the grind. It's all about the process of growing as an athlete, and also as a student, and also as just a person in general.
Most definitely, yeah.
And so we'll talk about how you've developed, but give us kind of a rundown of your story.
Yeah, so San Diego, California kid, born and raised. Came from a really athletic family. All my brothers, all my uncles played sports. I was actually a baseball kid growing up. I played baseball all the way to high school. And once I got to high school, I played baseball, basketball, football. And, sports is just something that my family, we use to bond and spend time with together, go to the park, have a picnic, throw the ball around. Something that just got our focus off of our everyday life and, just allowed us to bond. And when I got to high school, I started playing football. Coach Hans Graham at Castle Park High School. I just fell in love with it instantly, just the grit of the game and scoring touchdowns and, finding that feeling when there's just open green grass is just something that I fell in love with. So I put the gloves and the bat down and I started throwing the football around a little bit more. And Yeah, I just got lucky to be under a coaching staff at Castle Park. Chris Krajewski and Hans Graham. They really took me in and worked with me and taught me the fundamental game of football. And I just fell in love with it. And I got a lot of looks out of high school, a lot of Division II, small Division I, but my grades was holding me back. So decided to go to Grossmont College. I know Grossmont College is a drive from Chula Vista, but we made it happen, man. So I used to take the trolley from Chula Vista. I used to take the bus to the trolley and the hour ride of the trolley to the bus again to get to Grossmont every day. And just those type of memories, just when I think back, those JUCO days are definitely a big part of me. And, they don't say JUCO product for no reason. So when I got to Grossmont College, my first year, I played the first 3 games. We had Sergio Bailey. We had guys, Michael Carrillo, San Jose State guy, a lot of big-time guys that I played with. And great teammates took me in. I learned the game a lot more. Unfortunately, the 4th game, I got a concussion, and I was out for a game. And, other than that, obviously, I had things going on at home. My dad got hurt on the job, truck driving. He was a baggage handler in San Diego Airport, and he had fell down the steps while carrying some luggage and banged up his back pretty bad and couldn't work, actually. So during the time, he was the only provider in the house, and we already weren't a super well off family. We made ends meet, and very grateful and thankful for things that we did have. So when that happened, it was pretty tragic to us because just being in a position of not knowing what's going to happen next was just the thought on our minds every day. So my dad got hurt. There's no work, and basically, it got down to the point where we couldn't afford rent. We couldn't afford bills, phone bills and stuff. And family was doing their best to help out, for sure. That's one thing that I don't speak of enough. I have a lot of family and friends that, really made an impact in not only my life, but my family's life. So I had a lot of great family and friends help out. But still, unfortunately, it just wasn't enough. So we decided that it was just best to gather ourselves, go somewhere where we can get our stuff together, give us a little bit of time to get back on our feet. And there's actually a campsite called Sweetwater Summit Roads. It's in the back of Bonita, Chula Vista. It's dirt cheap to buy a campsite. So we would buy it for months at a time and, make it work. I would go to my Grossmont games. This is my sophomore year, coming into my sophomore year now at Grossmont. I would be having great games, 3 touchdown games, amazing stats. Just the talk of the stadium. And then little, do people know I'm going back home to a tent, cutting my tape off my feet with my brothers and sisters next to me. And those moments really, just talking about it gives me the chills because those moments are the moments that I had the support of my family and God. Obviously I'm a big Christian, a big God believer, and I really just gave it to God in those times. And I balled it all on the field, had an All-American season under Coach Jordan. Had Brad Cagle as my quarterback, and man, he was throwing that thing, Coach. Coach. So. Yeah, and then during that time, just going back and forth, it was hard to get to class from all the way in Chula Vista. My mom would let me use her car, but, the gas money from Chula Vista to Grossmont is hard. So there was a lot of times I missed a lot of class, and I'm behind on going to class, which is super crucial to the student-athlete process, and it's student first. And obviously, if you can't get good grades in the classroom, then you won't be on the field. So that's a big lesson that I've learned throughout that process as well. And like I said, not being able to get to class kind of hindered me and getting my associates, which was qualifying me to go to the next level. So here I am having this All-American season, balling out, having the best season of my career so far. And I also was not going to class. I also had things going on at home. I also had other adversities that I was facing off the field. So during this time, it was just, it was all or nothing. And I always say JUCO makes or breaks you in California because they don't pay their players. There's not a lot of help that you can get, not a lot of resources that you can just have, just like the luxuries at, maybe a four-year university. So, yeah, and I had a great season. After the season, I just had things going on at home, just trying to get through it. Like I said, regroup. And by the time my dad got workman's comp. He ended up, passing the lawsuit and got workman's comp. And we ended up putting a year of rent down at a house in Chula Vista after my sophomore season at Grossmont College. And by that time, I already kind of knew I wasn't going to be able to transfer. I was behind from my associates. So I just decided to buckle down my grades. I took my redshirt season at G House, buckled down my grades, and ended up getting my associates after 6 semesters at Grossmont. And I had a lot of big time conversations with big time schools. I had KU and Utah, and there were some talks of Eastern Michigan and other schools like that, Bowling Green, but for some reason, none of those schools just panned out, and it was just a time where I took the leap of faith. I believe in that God had the plan for me, and during that time, there was a school that I had talked to, Midwestern State, that I eventually had signed to, and went to Midwestern State for a couple semesters. I pulled my hamstring, and I went to Midwestern State. Excuse me, I went to Midwestern State for 1 semester. Pulled my hamstring, and I was just, missing home and kind of had still not settled things at home. So decided to come back. Actually, this process is a lot because I've been to, not a lot of people understand that I've been to a lot of colleges. I went to Azusa Pacific, Midwestern State, West Texas, and then Southwest Minnesota State. So, it's just a lot of schools that I got to experience. But when I got back home from Midwestern State, I decided to sign up to Azusa Pacific, where I can stay close to home and help out and help provide. San Diego to Azusa is probably a 2-hour drive. So it's just really convenient for me to be able to be home and be there for my family if they needed me, which at the time was pretty important. And while I was at Azusa, they weren't really offering me any scholarships, coach. So it was tough. It's a private school. It's pretty expensive to go to. So I walked on, and the coach that I was there was trying to help me out. I won't say his name, but it wasn't enough money for me to survive in Los Angeles. It was just really hard. And for me, after going through that homeless situation already, I just didn't want to put myself in another position where I'm here in Los Angeles now in the same kind of thing, just couch surfing and not being able to focus on school, not being able to focus on football. So I decided, not really having any mentorship or no one to talk to about it. I was already going to classes at Azusa Pacific, and I ended up having an offer to West Texas the same time. So after the first week of classes, I'm still in contact with the receiver coach at West Texas, and he's telling me, like, come on, man, we'll offer you so much money. You don't have to worry. I understand what you just went through, blah, blah, blah. So he ended up winning me over, and I left after already going to classes, not even knowing that that's illegal to do. I didn't think that was going to be a problem. Yeah. But once you start a semester somewhere, you trigger that semester in college. So once you trigger it, there's nothing that you can do to get it back. So once I went to West Texas, here I am, first day. I'm meeting everybody, meeting the coach. I told the Azusa coach 3 days before, I was like, hey, man, you guys aren't offering me enough money. I can't do this anymore. You understand my situation. I need to be somewhere where I'm getting taken care of so I can focus. And actually, the coach was like, okay, I understand. We'll see what we can do to get you more money. But I didn't tell him that I ended up leaving anyways to West Texas maybe 2 days after I had that conversation. So here I am in West Texas, meeting the coaches, meeting the players. And the first day I was there, the head coach brings me in. He's like, Adrian, nice to have you here. How are things? Having the conversation. And I just remember his phone ringing, his office phone ringing, and he picks it up. And he's like, yeah, what's going on, coach? And then I'm just sitting right there listening. He's like, yeah, no, Adrian's right here. Adrian's right here. And it ended up being the Azusa Pacific head coach.
Oh.
And I got myself in a situation there, which made me ineligible to play. So I was at Azusa Pacific, just going to school, trying to work things back with a team, with a coach. I ended up taking a 30-hour Greyhound that same day that they busted me for being in West Texas. 30-hour Greyhound straight back to Azusa, try to work things out. Didn't work. Long story short, I went to Azusa and didn't play. So I decided to go back to junior college, which they had Citrus College right next to it. Someone had talked to me that I had talked to a counselor from Azusa who was actually putting me on game with how I could become eligible again with the NCAA. So I come to find out, if I were to get another associate's degree, I would be eligible to transfer out of Azusa. I go to Citrus. I'm like, they find associates that I'm already close to. I take maybe 9 units in one semester. I graduate, I get my degree, and then I end up going to West Texas. Again, I go back to West Texas. They sign me. They still want me. This is during the COVID year. No one's playing. It was just a bad experience. There's no football. So I go back home again to my family. They're living in Columbus at the time. And around this time, my dad ended up finding another job. This is maybe a year after his injury and surgeries. He found a job as a truck driver, driving semi-trucks across the country. And there was just a day not too long after I came back that my dad ended up getting into a really bad truck accident that resulted in the other truck that hit him. Him and his wife ended up passing away. And my dad got really bad, banged up. He couldn't move. He was like paralyzed from the waist down. They had to airlift him out of a helicopter, use the jaws of life and everything. And it was pretty bad. And, it was just another blow to the chest and for my family, just as we were to get back on our feet a little bit, that were to happen again. And my dad ended up needing to have like 9 surgeries after that on his spine. One of them was a quadruple bypass. He was given a 50-50 chance. Just, crazy things like that. My dad's a really tough guy.
Wow.
So I go back home again, just I find a job. I help out. The football's still on my mind. I'm still training every day. I'm working out every day. I'm taking care of my body. I'm doing the best I can with what I'm given. And probably maybe a semester, 6 months passes by, and I'm back in San Diego. I'm training, and I'm trying to figure stuff out, living with my cousin at the time. And then I texted a guy, Montel Allen, Coach Montel. He's been there with me from the start. I asked him if he knew of any colleges that needed a receiver. I'm sitting in my car, just sending emails, copy and pasting emails. Like, hey, coach, I'm a 6'5" All-American wide receiver. How can I get on the team? What can I do? And I'm just, every D2 there is, I'm copy pasting. Every Division I that I thought I can get eligible to, copy pasting. And then here comes Coach Montel, that same day. Hey, like Southwest Minnesota State, they need a receiver. They're going to offer you. Be ready to go. So they send the offer, and I'm there a week later. I go to SMSU. I play my first season. Just briefly, first season I took a blow to the chest. I bruised my spleen and my abdominal walls. Put me out my first season there for about 5-6 games, and we were already having big problems as a team. We lost our coaching staff. We had quarterback problems. So it was just kind of rough going there and being able to show what I can do after everything, just being through all this process. Not a lot of coaches wanted to give me a chance because they thought maybe I was irrelevant. The longer you're off the field, the more irrelevant you are. So I just took what I got, and at SMSU really took me in open arms, but we did have those problems, and I ended up medical redshirting, not playing the last 4 or 5 games, and coming to the next season where it was my last season of college. Yeah, quarterback problems right away. I think our quarterback threw like 7 picks in the first 3 games. It was just really bad. Our running back actually rushed for like 1,500 yards, so we became a really run-heavy team. He was getting like 30 carries a game, Jesse Sherwood. So from there, just kind of played out the season with what I can do. I ended up graduating. I got my degree after all those semesters in different colleges. I ended up getting my degree in honors. I made the dean's list. So just a big honor, being the first to graduate high school out of both sides of my family. Just getting an achievement like that just really motivated me to just want to keep going. And after SMSU, I was doing things like going to XFL workouts. I was going to CFL workouts. I was getting invited to just private CFL, XFL, NFL workouts. Just a bunch of different scouts and coaches that come to a place where we showcase our talents. So, and then I had a pro day with the Minnesota Vikings that I thought went pretty well. And now this is last year. Fast forward, I had a whole year off. Just training with guys like Luis Perez, different XFL guys, and a lot of San Diego family. San Diego, we're well connected. All the guys in San Diego, we if I have a group chat, we meet each other on the field and we put in work constantly. You got guys like DC Athletics and Les Spellman and Dusty Athletic Culture. So just a lot of resources in San Diego that helped me out a lot, that just kept me sharp. And I ended up creating a Euro Players account. It's a international professional account where CFL and the LFA and just different international teams can recruit you. I signed up, and I'm doing the same kind of process, copying and pasting, sending it to coaches, sending it to general managers, and
move your phone. Yeah, yeah, there you go. So I can see your head. There you go.
There you go. But yeah, I ended up meeting my mentor, Cheyenne Potts. He's with Hidden Gems is his business, and he took me under his wing. He is a very good guy. He's well connected, and not even a couple of weeks after I met him, he got me an opportunity here in Italy, and here I am in Turin, Italy, just chasing the same dream, a better man because of all the lessons, and just speaking about it. It's hard because it's just, I can talk about it all day, but I think the most important part is just understanding that everything happens for a reason, having a purpose, and being able to take L's to the chin and standing up. That's what makes you in this process. So I'm here now. I'm balling out. 2 games, 210 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns, and we're 2-0 right now. So I'm just out here having fun, living a dream, and still with the chip on my shoulder, and with the goal to come back to the States and play professional football at a higher level. So,
yeah. I think the biggest thing that really stands out, you got a whole bunch of things that we can unpack, and we'll definitely try to do our best. And it's one of those things where what really overshadows all of it is the fact that you have a goal and you have something that you're wanting to attain and achieve, and you never waver one way or the other. You definitely stay on that no matter what you are doing, no matter what kind of an L you take. It's not even really an L, right? And,
right.
For a young guy, so, let's back up a little bit. Let's say, you go back to high school, you go to JC, you've got your goals of what you want to do. You want to play at the next level. And I know you're talking about mentors and good family atmosphere. So when you go into these situations, I think we talked about it before. You were talking about lack of knowledge and lack of understanding of the process. So let's talk about that. So you're in high school, you're in your situation that you're in, but you have a goal and you want to go do this. Academics are poor, however you want to put it. You're in a tough situation. So what are our options, right? The question is, what are our options? We don't have a lot of mentors or whatever it is. So what is it that drives you to get to the next level? How did you figure it out? It's probably the best way I should put it, right?
I just I always had the goal, as a kid, and an understanding that I could put my family in a better position. I was always just an out worker, when in recess, and however you want to put it. As a young kid, I was just you can see it, and I played with a chip on my shoulder at a very young age because I understood that it was bigger than the sport. It was about changing relationships. It was about being a better version of myself, and same for my family. And I think having that understanding at a young age really gave me the motivation to just want to go above and beyond my knowledge, just take a leap of faith in the football world. And I know I did have Chris Krajewski, like I said, Coach Chris and Coach Hans, that helped me understand things too at a younger age. But like I said, I just think it's just the chip on my shoulder that I had that motivated me to be ready to hear no, to be ready to take a L, to be ready to be the underdog and work your way up from the bottom up. So I think just having that in my head just allowed me to keep going.
Yeah, perspective is everything. And it's interesting because when you're a teenager you just want to make sure you don't make a lot of mistakes. They're gonna, derail the direction that you're wanting to go. I talk about this all the time on podcasts. Every student athlete I talk to, whether I'm recruiting them or just in general, they want to go D1. Everybody wants to go D1. Everybody's a D1 player. They all want to play at the next level. But when push comes to shove, you realize that, oh, wait a minute, I may not be the guy. And it's one of those things to have perspective and understand what's reality. And, going from high school to the next level, it's kind of a nerve-wracking time. We can say it. It's one thing to say it, but it's another thing to actually do it and understand what you're doing in the moments. And it's really important to have those mentors like Chris and some of those guys, because if you don't have those mentors, you're kind of just, there's not really much direction and where you want to go. And most kids end up just saying, you know what, there's no real opportunity for me, and I'm going to go. And usually it's a bad situation after that. Some will go to school, some will get into trouble, whatever. And so that's a big key for me. And you're talking about family and the family dynamic. And of course, families, they want you to do well. That's about it, right? I mean, they want you to do well. They want you to be successful. But where I come in the mix as far as a recruiter, as this Walk-On Warrior brand, is we're coming out here and we're saying, listen, there's kids that have gone through what you've gone through, and parent also, right? We want to be able to give you as much knowledge and understanding of the road that if you so choose to do it, this is what it's all about. And the blessing for California kids is that you do have the opportunity to go JC, and unfortunately it gets a bad rap or whatever. But the kids like yourself that go through, that are able to get in, survive, and then take it up a notch, open your mindset, right? Really expand your understand your or have an understanding of what it is, get your academics, get in an off-season weight, strength conditioning program, and kind of get an idea or get a taste of what it's going to be potentially after that. I think that lack of knowledge is such a huge thing, and being able to break that is everything. And also, Adrian, we're talking about your story. Your story has to connect, right? You have a lot of kids out, not only out here, but out there, that need to be able to connect with that and say, you know what? Okay, there is another road. There's other people. There's mentors that have done it and actually have went through something even tougher.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And so let's talk about, so now you're moving from high school, now you're going junior college. So
Yeah.
what's your mentality going forward? So you still are saying, hey, I want to be a next level
Yeah.
student athlete. So I'm going to go to Grossmont, but oops, there's challenges that are along the way. So how do you overcome those challenges? So you're going to go and you're going to play on the field, you're going to develop, but talk
Right.
about going overcoming. I don't want to call them L's because I think that's negative. I don't think it really makes, you know what I'm saying? Doesn't
Yeah. Yeah. It is.
you're not losing, right?
Yeah.
How about this? We call them L's, we'll call them learning, right?
There you go. Better.
Right. So you're going into Grossmont. Talk about the difference between high school and the process of Grossmont and all the things you had to deal with just to get on the field.
Yeah, it's a big process. Like you said, I didn't really have anybody going into college that I could speak to that was in a similar situation. At the time, I didn't really know anybody. But going to Grossmont, the first couple of things that I would do is just email. All the resources are there. You just got to find them. And I was always a guy to just look it up and send an email. In the worst case, whatever happens after that happens. But I think the process is something that is underrated when you sign up out of high school. And a lot of kids sign up and they don't end up going through with it because it's like you said, it's a sense of not having direction. And that scares and puts a lot of fear in people. It's stepping into the unknown. So coming into Grossmont, I knew this is what I was here to do. I knew I was there to ball. I didn't make the 40-minute drive every day from Chula Vista or the train rides and stuff. So I just put everything that I was going through and made it an energy source that just fueled me through the process. And it just motivated me. You just got to be motivated. You got to want to do it. If you don't know why you're there, then it's just not going to work for you, And I think I knew that I was there while I was there. And I believed in myself. I believed in whatever was going to happen for a reason. And I was going to either roll with it, learn from it, and move on and see how I could input it to my life. So I learned a lot coming into Grossmont in the process. And, just even as signing up for classes, even that alone, it could be nerve-wracking for someone who's graduating high school and has no idea what they're stepping into. So it took me time, but I would say after the first semester, just started figuring things out and started making things work.
Yeah. So would you say the difference between, because let's be honest, the reason I say difference because there's levels to this game, right? Just even at junior college, not just on the field, but academically, whatever. So you come into it like so many others do. You're in a pretty tough academic situation, or however you want to put it, poor academics. So you go to the next level. Now it's all about overcoming just the mentality of, my academics were poor. Now I got to be an academic guy, or at least I have to have the right academics, right?
Yeah.
Because if I still want to stay on this journey of going beyond JC, because most people don't understand that after the 2 years when you get your associates, you get recruited again. So you have to showcase yourself again, physically, mentally, right, however you want to put it. But as well as I do that resume, well, your transcript is a resume, right? Because if I'm coming from Alabama, I'm looking for Adrian Tolbert, they're going to say, okay, great. I know what he looks like physically on the field, whatever, but now I got to see that resume. And it pretty much kills a good portion of the guys if they are lucky enough to have that opportunity. And as well as I do that you already are in a tough situation going from not getting recruited out of high school or very little recruitment, bad academics, and then you go to JC, right? Already these coaches come in with a certain mentality. Coaches have a short-term attention span. So when they come in there, they want to see the product now and how we can, use that in our system. And if we're in a situation where he's a trouble guy or whatever, we don't want to deal with all that kind of baggage. So the main thing that I think when I'm thinking of your story is I'm thinking the word discipline, right? So what's different about you and your discipline and focus versus, let's say, 65, 70% of the other guys that you came to Grossmont with that ended up not, just not staying true to the course. But those guys are really good. We got some good guys, man, that didn't actually get out of there. So what's different about Adrian Tolbert with discipline and focus that they didn't have, that some of these kids need from you?
For me, discipline. It's discipline and investment, and you got to invest in yourself. And when you invest in yourself, it's easier to stay disciplined because discipline, self-discipline especially, is a priority in a game like football. You got to be able to prioritize, just the way that you move and the way that you come to practice and come to the game. And I think the discipline that I had at the time was just more so, being a young guy, just staying back and watching and observing and understanding how the older guys were moving, just not only in the field of the locker room, but also just in their everyday life. And I think having that understanding and just being disciplined as far as making sure I'm at practice, 15 minutes early, even as small as that and as broad as that, it actually goes a very long way, because when you come at, different scenarios with detail-oriented work, it prepares you. It prepares you for whatever is to come. And I think that along with being disciplined, and investing in myself, I was also very detail-oriented with everything that I was doing, making sure that I was getting my classes that I needed to graduate. I was on track, mapping everything out, making sure I was at practice, making sure I had time to watch film, and along with being able to, make sure that I'm eating and being hydrated and taking care of your body, and being at a young age, you're not going to get it at first. That's just the honest truth. And we all need some sort of mentor, some sort of leadership that we can impact from. And, like you said, I didn't have that at a young age. So I kind of went out and found it within players in my team.
And that's a key point, because a lot of kids, they come from tough areas, and they are more or less just floating in the wind, and they're going by this person tells them this person tells them that. And I really am a huge believer in when they say it takes a village to raise a kid, it really does. However, sometimes you don't got that village, right? So It's really important that when you're a young kid that you do make mistakes, but those mistakes aren't, life costly situations.
Exactly.
And if you do have a goal, right, there's other options on top of that. And obviously you ended up going to a junior college and making it happen. And like I said, there's a lot of guys that don't make it out, and they're just as good or even better athletes. And it comes down to just the small little things. And one of them obviously is understanding discipline and being able to stay focused on what you're doing, as opposed to getting caught up with, girlfriends and fun and all these things. We're not looking to have fun. If you have a goal and you have a discipline, or you're disciplined, you're looking to go do something great. Greatness comes with, sacrifice. You have to throw all that stuff out of there. It's all about what you will sacrifice to get to that next level, right? 100%. Because there's a lot of good athletes, as you know, but it's all about sacrifice too. And that's one of the main things. And so let's go to the period of time that you're leaving Grossmont. You're thinking about Azusa. You're talking Midwestern. You're talking about West Texas, all that kind of thing. So with all those different struggles, you're still kind of trying to figure out who you are, as an athlete and as just a person in general. What gets you from point A, which is Grossmont, to Southwest Minnesota State? There's a lot to unpack there, but what is the main thing, right? you're on buses, you are on trains, you're you're living in your car, all these different things
with the wind.
well, you're smiling about it because you think back on it and you're like, God, that's crazy to think
Yeah,
that
I
I
can't
was
believe it.
that I was in that situation, but now I'm where I'm at and it's all worth it. And a lot of guys in the midst of a bus trip or whatever, they get caught up in problems. And they say, you know what? I'm done. I'm not going to do this anymore. It's not for me. God, you hate me, however, whatever. But what about Adrian Tolbert that made you tick and get from all those situations to Southwest Minnesota, right?
Yeah, I'd say it's a couple of things. One, like I said, just having the purpose, having the reason why you're doing it. It's bigger than the game. Once you understand that the depths that you should be understanding it to, and you can see the fruits of the labor from it, and it's great relationships. It's a lot of self-discipline, a lot of self-care and self-love that you do for yourself. And I think, and also it's, like I said, being at a young age, having that chip on my shoulder and understanding that I have the opportunity to change things at home has always stayed with me. And seeing, my mom and people that I love, dear to my heart, in pain and sacrificing what they don't have to support me, I really took that to heart, and it motivated me to go harder. The times that I didn't have nothing, didn't have no food, didn't have a pot to piss really. It motivated me. It gave me the edge to understand that not everybody is going through what I'm going through. Also understanding that there's always someone that's going to be going through something worse. So I made big promises to my grandma when she was in her deathbed, that I wasn't going to stop, that I was going to continue to go for my goal, to achieve it. And I did. And I'm here now, and I'm very thankful that I'm here now. I tell these guys that I don't even like talking to my teammates about this story, just because, like you said, unraveling all the depths of just how it was. It's not something that I'm just so openly talking about all the time, but it is a conversation that I do like to have when people want to hear it, because I do believe that it's a testimony and that it could change people. So just having all of that foundation in my heart really is just what got me from Grossmont to Southwest Minnesota State.
Yeah, well, success means many different things to people, and success means, some people will say success is money, financial. It's more the physical side, it's the material possessions. But for those that are truly successful, it's all about experiences, right? It's all about relationships. If you're successful in the most basic things, whether it's a relationship, whether it's, however you want to spin it, that goes above and beyond something that can just come and go. Those don't come and go, right? That's something when I asked you earlier, right, you all of a sudden started smiling or whatever. That's what's important, right? And I think that's one of those things that no matter what, the best go through it, man. The people that I know that have been the most successful have been people that have gotten hurt, have tore their knee up and had to quit, or, had to stop playing or whatever. And now they're CEOs. They're people that can look back on those situations and say, you know what, this ain't that bad. I had to go through whatever. I've been there, and I will keep continuing to be there because of these experiences and things like that. So in that time period, is there a moment that you can think all the way back to that time and say, well, I was almost done? Is there a time mentally where you were like, you know what, I'm breaking, this is it? And how did you overcome that?
Honestly, I did have a moment. It was at Southwest Minnesota State. It was the second game of the season. My senior season. My family's finally here. It's the first time they see me play since JUCO. My fiance It's the game that I propose, you know. And I had a moment where I broke actually in the middle of the game, and you know, it was just everything fell on top of me. I didn't realize it at the time, but it wasn't the fact that you know, we had quarterback issues and, you know, I want to shine because, you know, my family's finally here after everything, you know, and they were watching me play again, just like I was at Grossmont maybe 4 years prior. I think everything just hit me that it wasn't the moment that I thought that it was gonna be. It wasn't, you know, what I wanted to display. It wasn't the narrative that I wanted to write for my family and for my friends and for people who understand how big that moment was for me. And I think that moment was, you know, probably one of the biggest moments where I stepped back and I realized that I am actually thankful for, you know, all the ups and downs, because it got me to that point.
So how did you overcome that breaking point? I don't know. This isn't what I thought it was. I'm done.
Yeah.
But you know what? Actually, hold on a minute. I'm going to wake up tomorrow and say, you know, I'm going to keep on this thing.
Let's just put it this way. It was a long night, you know, and I didn't, you know, I was frustrated and many mixed emotions, but like with everything else, I use it as fuel. I come back the next practice, I come hard. I'm showing the coach that, you know, the coach, like, it don't matter what you throw to me. It could be a hitch, it could be a slant, it could be a fade. Just give me the ball, and I want to show you that I can be a huge impact. And I used it as fuel, and I came back the next game, and I ended up having the game-winning touchdown in overtime. And it was a great moment, you know. I just felt the love from my grandma up above. I felt the love from God and my family and friends, and just understanding that you have to be patient, you know. And sometimes you get in scenarios where you think it's going to work the way you want it to work, even after everything that you've been through. But it doesn't work that way. You just have to be ready and control what you can control. And when your number is called, you do what you do.
Yeah. When also being ready and being prepared. And that's the one thing that I get from what we were talking about earlier, you know, your experiences and everything. If you're in the right mindset and the right framework, no matter what gets thrown at you, it could all of a sudden in the middle of this podcast, boom, all of a sudden, and you're ready to go, and no matter what. And that's high level. That's the difference between just some basic whoever to really that high level person. And especially when it comes to, you know, not just academics, but on the field, being ready at any time. And that comes down from those experiences. But the key word there is being patient too. You know, I mentioned this damn near every podcast. We always talk about the most important. There's two words that I always mention when I'm talking to young student athletes. Number one, it's the power of no. You got to be able to you got to be able to deal with somebody telling you no. It's okay.
Right.
And then the second one is being patient, because when you're a young student athlete, you think that boom, you're just going to go from, you know, Castle Park, and it happens sometimes, Castle Park all the way to University of Oregon or Alabama or whatever. But some people don't understand what that means, the process and what it means. But being patient, because, you know, especially now we have portal, we have all these different things that are creating a negative balance for kids, because a kid comes out at a high school in San Diego, super excited, you know, I am getting all the offers, I'm going to Alabama, I'm going wherever. But do you truly know what your responsibility is now? Because they'll go there, and then all of a sudden now you're holding pads for 2 years. And even though a coach says, hey, this is what's going to happen, once you get there, you're like, well, wait a minute, this isn't what I thought it was. Like you were saying earlier, and being able to, and then being able to overcome that. And so your story is such a powerful story, because on top of that, you grew up in San Diego, you grew up and you know, you're in your situation. Kids go from high school, you're 4 years around kids, and then all of a sudden now you got to go somewhere else and you got to reinvent yourself. And how do you reinvent yourself? A lot of guys end up going somewhere and failing, and something bad happens or whatever, because they're having an identity crisis. They don't know how to reinvent themselves. And so, like for me, for example, I went to Utah State. I'm originally from Oregon, going from a small town high school, 300 kids, right? And then all of a sudden now I'm at a Division I school and I'm on Division I campus. I'm in front of a, however many thousands of, fans, all this kind of so the bright lights, but it's
Right.
all about reinventing yourself and actually understanding who you are, not what they are, but who you are. So talk to me about, so you're bouncing all over the place, but you're only there for a short amount of time. It's actually prepared you for when you are in Italy, because think about it. You're going from Castle Park to Grossmont to 2 or 3 schools in between. And then, you know what I'm saying? So you're bouncing from one to the other. Now you got to build relationships. You don't have a lot of time. That is the story of you, man. And now you're in Italy, and now you're all about quick opportunities, staying focused and making it happen in the moment. Right.
Right. Yeah.
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 So talk about that.
Yeah. I just, I say it all the time, even to guys out here, I tell my teammates, like, man, I've been to so many different schools, and with that, it may look bad, but with that came a lot of great experience, a lot of new perspectives, and a lot of networking with people all around the United States, Minnesota, Texas, California. And a lot of these guys that I play with in just those short periods of times, there's guys in the NFL, there's guys in the CFL, there's guys in the UFL. So it's a great perspective to have about it all. Just understanding that, the circumstances that was given. But I like to look at it as it was a great experience because, like you said, it prepared me for an opportunity as such. I'm not completely just unaware of how this process is out here in Italy. I knew it was going to be quick. I knew it was going to be a fast turnaround. But luckily, I've already been on top of staying in shape, staying on the field, keeping my mind right, being in the gym and stuff. So I think that the experience of going to all those schools, like you said, really allowed me to be ready for what was to come after my college career.
Yeah. So through all your experiences, let's talk a little bit more in depth with the mentality, because I don't think that young student athletes, I don't think that they fail physically. Yeah, when you get to the higher levels, yes, you're going to have to get physically better. But let's be honest. I mean, you have strength coaches that force you to get better to some degree physically, right? I mean, it's almost impossible if you
mandatory.
Yeah. But where a lot of guys fail is the mentality, the mental side of the game, right? Inside the classroom and outside, because the hyphen in student athlete is the most important thing, because that's the conduit that holds your entire career together. The fact that you are a student and you're an athlete, I get it, the portal, NIL, all that stuff, but you still have to show up. And that's huge. Talk about showing up, and just showing up and being there and doing what you're supposed to do to get better and be the best.
Showing up is 90% of it for me, showing up to practice, showing up to class, showing up to test day, knowing that you're going to fail the test. Sometimes it's like that. Sometimes you're going to show up to fail. And but I think once you understand and grasp just the significance of showing up, then you understand that everything else will follow once you show up, and when you set yourself up for success, like they say, you miss 100% shots you don't shoot, but you got to be able to shoot a shot. So, that's showing up. And I showed up in everything that, that I knew, even when I was going to fail. When I went to these schools like West Texas and Azusa Pacific, knowing that I wasn't going to play, or knowing that there was a situation going on, I could have easily just sat in my dorm room that I'm getting paid for or whatever, and just gave up. But I knew that if it wasn't going to be on the field and it wasn't my time on the field, I had to show up somewhere else, whether it was in the weight room or getting stronger, working on my craft at home, working on my academics. So like you said, Coach, showing up is a huge part of it. And if you can't show up, you know, you're gonna have trouble, especially in football in this game, because that's what it's about. It's about showing up and beating the man in front of you and competing. And that's why I just love football so much, because it's just so many life lessons that you can get from it.
Well, I mean, it's just so interesting to me because I don't have a statistic, and maybe these are some of the things that people should start a company to go out and take statistics on this, but that is something that's so important because kids, when they're younger, they don't learn to fail, and they don't learn to fail forward, right?
Right.
So failure is a real scary thing, and what do they always say, that the biggest fear that people have is getting up and speaking in front of people.
Yeah.
I'll take that a step further, and I think that forget about speeches. It's all about failing. People have fail, and there's many different things that people are afraid to fail in. I mean, when I went to Utah State, I did an actual walk-on tryout. So I go into this thing. There's 80 kids there. We got to go through a typical, it's kind of like a combine type thing, and they only end up taking one at the end of the day. But if I didn't just show up, because in my own thoughts and my own minds, it's like, oh my God, there's just no way. There's so many guys here. There's just no way. But it's being able to take that first step, open the door, and say, you know what? The hell with you, mind. Like, our thoughts are the worst. I think our thoughts a lot of times are our biggest enemy, because we create scenarios that aren't actually there and aren't present and aren't real. So if we're living based on the moment and what we have in front of us, that's such a key thing, because you talking biblical. I mean, if we're thinking today has its own issues, right? And as an athlete, if you think too far ahead, you're going to create more problems than you will if you don't. You have goals, you have aspirations, but last time I checked, you can't go into the future 3-4 days in advance or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. And so that's one of those things that's real key. And so, all right. So Adrian, listen, you are in Europe right now. You are playing pro football. It's a thing you look back on and you say, holy smokes, now I'm playing professional football. All right.
Yeah.
I'm in Europe. I'm not in San Diego anymore. I've made the jump. I'm killing it already. Right. We see it all over social media. You're becoming this guy, you're becoming that guy. Now you've reinvented yourself. You're 6'5", you're 230, you're making it happen. So talk a little bit about this. Talk about this right now and what you're a part of, and what the plan is moving forward.
Yeah, I'm thankful for this opportunity. First off, it's just being able to put on a helmet and shoulder pads again. It's unbelievable at this point, but I know that God has a plan for me, and I'm staying strong to that. Right now, I'm just trying to stay relevant. Not coming from a big Division I school, so it's a little harder to get into other leagues. But I don't like to use excuses, and I found a way. I found the path to do it, and I really believe it involves me being in Europe. So staying relevant and building my resume, getting more achievements, having more honors on my name. I'm hoping to get myself into a bigger league that I can that's more competitive at a higher level after this season. Lord willing, I stay healthy, and I can just jump right after this season into maybe they have the ELF out here, a big upcoming league that a lot of Americans are playing in, and they have obviously the UFL, CFL, and the league. But I think the biggest thing for me right now is to just focus on staying relevant, continuing to show people all around the world, like you said on social media, that I still have and more. I'm just the best complete version of myself right now. Not only do I have the physical attributes, but I have the mental, which we talked about is the biggest thing. And I understand there's going to be L's coming my way. I understand there's going to be adversity. So I think that is the key to what the future holds for me. And I'm just trusting God and continuing to work day in, day out, be consistent on my craft, just detail oriented. Like you said, the discipline, we talked about showing up, just continuing every day to just input that. And I'm just trusting that this season is going to be enough for me to showcase what I can do, and someone's going to take a chance on me.
Yeah, and I think one thing that you may not know yet, but you will, is the impact that you make on other people's lives from a distance. You may not know that. Like I said, you may not know people, but people that actually follow you and pay attention to what you are all about and what you're doing and what you're doing moving forward, you'll start to find out you'll have random people reach out to you after, especially this podcast. And then who the heck is this guy? He's from, Wichita, Kansas, talks about him and his road and his kids. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
and that's one of those things too, is that we don't understand in the moment. Sometimes when we become a figure, we become a somebody to look up to. We become a motivation to somebody, inspiration. You could change just one person's life that has the
And that's
exact
cool.
same situation, right? So
Yeah.
you end up being more than just a football player, a student athlete, a football player, all this stuff. Now you become kind of a philosopher. You become, some sort of a figure, a public figure that
Right.
now it's a responsibility to a certain degree. And some guys, they don't look at it as that. They think, well, I got to sign my contract. I'm, going to be arrogant. I'm going to be all these different things. But where you're really, I think, everybody's different, but like when I was playing at Utah State, a lot of times for example, I have an example that I went to a local elementary school, and a bunch of our guys, we went and we got to know some of the kids. It wasn't like kids were special needs or anything like that, but it was just, we went and we just met with kids and signed autographs. And you want to talk about put it in perspective. Holy smokes. Just having a jersey on. I could have taken my jersey off and walked in the school. They wouldn't even, right? But I put the jersey on just outside the school. We walked in there, and even the principals and everybody, they look at you differently and they talk to you differently. And if there's anything we can do, let me know, and the kids are loving it. And down the road, because I promise you, and I'm going to ask you in a second, but you had you had maybe an aha moment, or you had one moment where you met somebody that you were like, I can't believe this is actually happening. This is impactful. You're in your early 20s, and to this day, you'll always remember that. And for now, with you being in the situation you are, the responsibility that you have, whether you know it or not, I'm just telling you that it's going to blow up based on podcasts and based on your time on the field and promotion and everything. Was there a time when you were younger where you had a moment like that?
Yeah, I would say there's two big moments. One was I was a kid. Baseball was my sport, and Adrian Gonzalez at the time. I got to see him and watch him play, and I went to a Padre game. So I think seeing him, obviously it's my first game, as a kid. So I just really I just was fascinated. Like I didn't want nothing else. Even to this day, I can still say, I still have that same feeling about it. But it's just this feeling inside that, it makes you feel good. And I think the second time was actually at Grossmont. I've heard about Tim Patrick and Nick Kurtz and guys that went to Grossmont previous. And I ask questions all the time, to Coach Jordan, like, Coach, how's Tim Patrick doing? And we have a similar build. And so I took a lot of his game, and I try to input it to mine, especially, he's from San Diego, and we got a lot of similarities. So I think at a young age coming into Grossmont, I wasn't expecting him to show up, but he ended up coming to a practice in cleats. And I just found myself just following his every footstep, just copying everything he's doing, watching his demeanor, watching how he's communicating to the quarterback, watching how he's, coming in, how he's talking, and I think it really not to be, I was at a young age, but I was kind of like starstruck for sure, because I know he was going to the league. Now he's with the Denver Broncos. So that moment made me realize that I can do it too. So yeah, it was a good moment for me.
And guess what? Now you are the Tim Patrick.
Yeah.
You know,
that guy, Tim always supported me, you know. I remember Coach Brunk, our receiver coach at G House at the time, would text him and say, "Yo, Adrian's about to beat your receiving yard record," and like he always had like support, you know. I didn't really know him personally, but he always, even to this day on Instagram, you know, likes my stuff, and it's someone that I just like a role model, you know. So
yeah. And that's we'll wrap this up, but that's one of those things where that comes down to influences and mentors and so on. You may not know somebody, but a mentor can be more than just some personal relationship with somebody, right? And that's why it drives me crazy when you look at a lot of these athletes or whoever and them not having, we'll just say, morals and doing the right thing because it's so easy, but for some it's so far away. And a lot of them, it kind of, you know, it destroys them. And so it's all about steering kids to the right mentors, the right people that they can look up to. You know, for me, for example, I'm not a receiver coach, but I can say, you know what, if you really want to implement, if you really want to, you know, pay attention to somebody that you can really look up to, that if you really want to strive to be somebody, I can say it's, you know, Adrian Tolbert and guys like that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's, you have to be able to see it sometimes, right? I can tell kids all day about Adrian, whatever. Okay, well, you don't believe me? I got, you know what I'm saying? Boom, here it is. See it.
Yeah.
We do that all the time, man. We always pull up those highlights, you know, Trey Jarrells and all these, you know, all the different players that we have that come through. I want guys that are within arm's reach. Hey, by the way, get on the phone and say, hey, here's Adrian. Adrian, by the way, hey, can you do me a favor and talk to, right? And having that personal interaction, the communication, those guys you can see. And that's so important that Tim did that because, man, you want to talk about experience. And now a person's a CEO, and it was that one experience that just drove him beyond what Adrian said to do it, so I'm going to do it.
You know? Really, I definitely come across people like that. They just want some sort of sense of direction. They have all the motivation in the world, but they want that confirmation from somebody who's already did it, and it's like a push start, you know. And I like to help people like that because they're invested. And you know, the biggest thing I want to say too is you got to be able to have wisdom to be able to learn from the people who have done it and people who are doing it, because that's the best source of knowledge that you can get. You know, it's fresh. So I think having wisdom and being able to understand is huge. And you know, get a mentor. Get a mentor if you're a young athlete. You're watching this. Don't be afraid to reach out to coaches. You know, Coach Dustin. I know there's a lot of good mentors that, you know, wouldn't mind having these type of conversations to help you with your college career. So
yeah. And you go and you sign your signature on the you know, those things, giving your autograph, you're really signing over everything that you've went through, right? Your whole story is being signed down on this autograph. And I use an example when I was coaching at Cathedral. I went up to a kid and I said, just remember that every time you put those shoulder pads, you're carrying a legacy, whether it's your family, whether it's the school, whether it's the position, I don't know. But you are carrying a lot of weight, and you're supposed to. You want it to be heavy. You don't want it to be light. You want it to get heavier and heavier the deeper you go into this thing, because if not, right, you don't want to be light. You want that you know, you want that depth, man, for sure. So listen, I got to put you on the hot seat.
Okay.
All right.
Come on, coach.
I got to put you on the hot seat. I got a few questions for you. What's that?
No.
I've reached out to a few people, so We'll see if I can get you here. So now that you're in Italy, so question number one on the hot seat.
Okay.
People are going to ask you, and I might butcher this, but you got to choose. You got to choose either AC Milan or you got to Inter Milan. You got to choose one, right? You can't be.
Yeah.
So who are you going for?
Oh, man. I guess I'll go with AC and Milan. I mean,
Okay.
not really. I like Milan, actually. I just went not too long ago. It was really, really beautiful. So I'll go with them.
Okay. That's pretty close, isn't it?
Somewhat
close.
It's an hour and a half drive. So, I mean, we're supposed to play there this tomorrow, but it's going to be a home game for us tomorrow. So stay in Turin.
Okay. Yeah. Good friend of mine. He's from that area. His name is Giovanni. He owns Siamo Napoli over in North Park. So shout out Giovanni. Wow. Question number 2, ice cream or gelato?
Oh my God. I'm not going to lie. Gelato is different in Europe. I told my fiance not too long ago, I'm like, man, I think gelato might be better than the ice cream we have back home. And the best part, it's cheap. You can get a bucket of gelato for like $2 out here, €2.
That's funny. Yeah. Yeah. Question 3. So if you had a dream NFL team to play on, what team would you play on?
Go Bolts, man. Put me up with Justin Herbert, Coach. You already know. Me and Justin Herbert would be like this. I can't wait, man. It's going to be a Charger fan till I die. You know, it's always going to be the Chargers. But if not the Chargers, the Chiefs are a close second. I would love to play with Patrick Mahomes. He'd make me a even better wide receiver and tight end.
Oh, man. You had me with the Chargers, then you lose me with the Chiefs.
Hey, I had to choose a second team that the Chargers left San Diego. I'm always going to be a Chargers fan, but you know this year wasn't looking great for us. So
yeah. Question 4: Wichita Falls, Texas, or Marshall, Minnesota?
Oh my God. Well, Marshall was freezing, and it got to like -20, and Wichita Falls was humid and mosquitoes everywhere. So I'm gonna have to go with Marshall. You know, I graduated there, so you know I got some legacy there. I got some people that I still rock with in Marshall. You know, holding it down out there. So I'll go with Marshall, Minnesota.
So real quick, hey, before I get to the last question, was it Coach Salter that was out there and you got recruited?
Coach Sauter. Yeah, Coach Sauter recruited me along with Coach Mac McClure. He was the Dixie State head coach in, I want to say 2015, 2016. And I think he's with Southern Utah right now as a linebackers coach.
That's right. Shout out Shea McClure, man. Real good guy. Yeah, 100%.
McClure, yes, sir.
Yeah. And then the last question, and this is the one I want you to give us your best answer. If you could talk to Adrian at 17, 18 years old and give him advice, what would you say you would do differently?
I'd say the one thing that I would do differently, man, stay on your grades. Do the extra, go to the extra tutoring. Go get help after class. Ask questions after class with your teacher, and don't be afraid to sound unintelligent. I mean, at some point, everybody's gonna sound, dumb, and you just gotta be able to learn from it and embrace that. You have to do it. It's just the way. I'm not a smart guy. I didn't come from a real super smart family, but here I am with 3 degrees, and I'm on the dean's list as an honor student. So I found out the cheat code, and that's asking questions and getting extra help.
Bro, you got 3 degrees?
Yep.
Holy smokes, man.
Yeah. Man,
that's crazy. Yeah. Wow. That's a testament itself, man. We could have an entire podcast talking about academics, man. Holy smokes.
Yeah. I'm I'm gonna go back soon to taking online courses. I want to get another degree, probably in coaching, a master's in coaching, most likely.
So that's what you want to do afterwards? Get into coaching?
Yeah, I want to use my resources and see what I can do. You know, getting into the coaching world. I got some great coaches behind me. Coach, you're one of them. I might need that letter. I might need that letter of recommendation.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So do you have any shout outs? Anybody sponsors? Anybody you want to shout out or?
Yeah, I want to shout out Improve. You know, you got the leg sleeves and the arm sleeves and the towels and how you looking fresh out there on the field. It's real drippy. I want to shout out Coach Shannon, my agent, Hidden Gems. It gets you right. And yeah, man, that's it. Shout out to my family, all my friends watching. I appreciate all the support. So we're going to keep going.
Right on, right on. And listen, hey, Walk On Warrior podcast. Listen, we drop 2 podcasts a week, and we got a lot of exciting guests coming forward. Make sure and like, share, and subscribe. Follow Adrian on Instagram, Twitter. Drop your Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah, I will. Instagram, the same. So Twitter.
I'll make sure and link it in the bottom as well. So anybody that wants to get in touch with Adrian in some capacity, advice, whatever it is, definitely get you straightened out.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
There it
is. You got it?
Yeah. It's under there.
Yeah. So listen, guys, like I said before, Walk On Warrior podcast. Always remember, it's not about us. It's about you guys. See you guys in the next episode.
Thanks, Coach.